This video is sponsored by Makendra. Check them out and click the link below for 25% off. As the days get shorter and shorter in the Northern Hemisphere, we enter the holiday season. But on our channel's mission of working our way through humanity's history, we are now a few thousand years before the first celebration of Christmas and many other modern winter holidays. So how would you celebrate this time of the year in the Bronze Age? Tracking the patterns of the seasons of the year was crucial as we enter into this era of agrarian civilizations, as planting and harvesting at the right times of the year was fundamental. Many cultures around the world would celebrate winter solstice, when the days are shortest, oftentimes with religious events of sun gods dying and being reborn. Possibly the earliest recorded winter solstice festival comes from one of the first civilizations, Sumer, a 12-day festival known as Zagmuk, celebrating the winter solstice and the beginning of the new year. The details surrounding it aren't super clear, and in researching it, I found conflicting sources saying it might have actually been a spring equinox festival, but we'll be using it roughly for the inspiration of this episode as it shares a lot of similarities with other winter festivals. Many of these holidays have borrowed and influenced each other through history, including some traditions that continue to today. So we're going to be doing a bit of a hybrid of this Bronze Age civilization's holiday and modern Christmas traditions. These materials I've sourced from the past, as well as some upcoming projects. It's going to be a little weird. First up, let's cut a tree. The first Christmas tree is thought to have been introduced in the 16th century CE, but the tradition of using evergreen trees and plants traces itself back long before and all around the world. Evergreens like holly and mistletoe were considered sacred by several cultures for remaining green during the winter, and was used as decoration by Romans, Greeks, Egyptians, Chinese, Hebrews, and Druids. In my last video, I cast a large axe for cutting wood, based off of a Bronze Age axe head recently discovered, coincidentally when a Christmas tree farm was being built. So to bring it full circle, I brought my axe to try it out and cut my own tree. So I'm here with Walt. How long have you been doing the Christmas tree business?
I've been selling for 25 years. We have Fraser fir, balsam fir, white pine, Scotch pine, and blue spruce.
What's a perfect tree?
I suppose a perfect tree is a 8-foot tall Fraser fir is what a lot of people want. But everybody has their own ideas. What some people think is a perfect tree is somebody else wouldn't take home.
So I'm gonna cut it with my axe. How do you think it's gonna work?
Oh, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's gonna take quite a bit of effort, but it will do the job. All right, this guy looks like a pretty decent specimen. I'm gonna chop it down, give it a shot. Axe, not sure how well it'll work, haven't used it yet. It's got a nice heft. We'll see how well it actually cuts. A little worried about the holes. It's also a bit thinner than the one it's based off of. There's a chance it could bend. Got it edge hardened, sharpened, and ready to go. Give it a whale. All right, so the front edge is doing pretty good and cutting well, but the whole back end fell off. I didn't even notice. And there's a bad part there that's kind of a weak point. I don't know where that piece went. Still works, it's just a little bit shorter now. A little less weight on it. Timber. So if you can't get a tree? Well, thank you to today's sponsor, Makendra. We got our own little Christmas tree here. Science provides small-scale chemistry experiments shipped to your home that you can do with your kids, nieces, or nephews. This is a really great way to learn the fundamentals of nature, which is really important when you're trying to build civilization from scratch. They sent us a few winter Christmas-themed experiments. Let's try them out. It's like rubber. Get yours today using the discount code below. Next, to decorate the tree, first with some garland. Stringing flowers or fruits by string as some form of decoration dates back to many cultures around the world. I'll be using a product from a future upcoming video that dates back to at least around the era we're in, popcorn. Corn was domesticated 10,000 years ago in Mexico, and there's evidence of it being popped as popcorn by at least 3600 BCE. To string them on some thread, I'll first need to make a needle, using some bone that's been soaking in water.
soul is ready!
For a second garland, let's use a berry I collected several years ago for Thanksgiving, cranberries. In the 18th century, adding lights to Christmas trees using candles was first introduced, and eventually replaced with electric lights. However, we are still just before the believed invention of candles, so in an upcoming video, we'll be harvesting and pressing olives and making a custom oil lamp. So to light our tree, I had Annalise construct some miniature lamps to hang on our tree and hopefully not burn everything down.
He's a little guy. A friend. To light our Christmas tree, we're gonna try these little oil lamps. So it's just kind of a little reservoir that'll hold oil. This little bead in the top fits right here and it holds the wick up straight. That way it's feeding up oil, but the wick itself can't fall into the oil and light it all on fire. So we're trying to reduce the amount of fire hazard this is, because it's already a large one. And then to sit it in the tree, I have these two little tunnels we can run thread through, and then we can just kind of sit it on a branch and tie it around the branch, and that should hold it in place. Just a little guy on fire. That's round enough to start. So we'll just start with the indent in the middle, and then kind of working and moving the clay up the sides. So I thin the base and the walls, but I also make it taller at the same time. And it just looks like a funny little cup, and we have to pinch this back in to get the narrow spout that'll hold the bead up. Pinch and smooth. Once you like pinch all the parts in, it just looks like a little like coin purse or something.
Money bag?
Yeah. So I'm just trying to smooth this into a nice rim that's an even thickness all the way around, so I don't have one that's like really thin and liable to break. And I want it more round, so I'm kind of taking the stick on the inside and pushing those sides back up. Like that, makes sense? That'll do fine for shape. So I'm gonna make the little bead that is the stopper that'll hold the fuse. It's cold, so the clay really wants to dry out quick. It's a pain in my butt. So a little bead, little guy. So there's a little bead. Pop him back out. Throw a hole through him, so he's a bead. They look like funny blueberries at this point. He's got a pine needle in his butt. Well, that didn't work at all. I was hoping because it was teapot shaped it would help, but so mostly we've made a mess, but it's fine.
Then for some last decoration. The round, shiny ornaments we often hang on Christmas trees today trace back to a medieval tradition of hanging apples on a tree relating to Adam, Eve, and the forbidden fruit that eventually got incorporated into the Christmas tree and led to more modern forms of ornaments. I've also previously harvested apples a few years ago, so let's add them to the tree as well. famously for some Christmas cookies. Or in our case, Zagmuk cookies. Cookies similar to what we eat today weren't really introduced until the 7th century in Persia after sugar became common there. However, sweet wafers and sweetbreads trace back to the origin of baking, so let's make some of those in the honor of some of the characters in the Zagmuk story.
All right, kids, gather around, have a Zagmuk cookie, and I'm gonna tell you the true meaning of Zagmuk. It all started many years ago. The Sumerian god Marduk, the god of creating things, he got sent to the underworld and trapped there. And while he was imprisoned, chaos was kind of taking over. The god of chaos, Tiamat, was consuming the sun. The days were getting shorter and shorter. After 12 long days of battle, Marduk and his sacred animal Mushkushu, they were able to defeat him and return the sun back to the sky. That is the reason for the season, and that is the true meaning of Zagmuk. Merry Zagmuk, everyone.
We wish you a merry
Zagmuk.
We wish you a merry
Zagmuk.
We wish you a merry
Zagmuk.
and a happy new year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. We wish you a merry
Zagmuk.
and a happy new year.
Thanks again to Biochemistry for sponsoring this video.
Check them out and click the link below for 25% off.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and check out other content we have covering a wide variety of topics. Also, if you've enjoyed these series, consider supporting us on Patreon. We are largely a fan-funded channel and depend on the support of our viewers in order to keep our series going. Thanks for watching.